everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and this is my speed up version of the Art Joy of Sharing live stream over on the Art Joy of Sharing channel that we do every Thursday morning at 8:30 Pacific time. Peg Robinson and I do them together, and I've told you this a million times, but if you're new here, you might not have heard it. Live streaming means it's actually live in real time, and you can come and watch and talk to us in the chat as we work on a dual screen. So I film that with a secondary camera, and then I make a speed up version for this channel because that's what I do on this channel, is a speed version of these projects. So this art journal is one that I made out of gel printed cardstock. The prints are on both sides, and then I sewed them together with a stitch. And I will put up in the iCard, you can hover over the right hand side. I'll put a video of me making this journal so that if you would like to make one like this, you can. So of course it's 8.5 by 11. It's got covers, and it's the way the stitching is, it's very springy and can be open to wide and could have a lot of texture. If you like to put a lot of layers of things and, spackling and tape, and you glue things to your pages, this is a good style of an art journal for you because it really is forgiving in its spine. It will not, one that's bound really tight, when it's full, actually won't close. It'll just be like a V. So that's the reason I made this. However, I don't work on it very often because it doesn't lay completely flat if you're working on the last page or the first page. If you're working in the middle, it's perfect. It lays perfectly flat because both the sides are equal. But if you are working towards the ends of either side, then you have to put something underneath it. So I put my palette tray, it's a butcher tray type tray that I use for a palette, underneath it, and that balanced it enough that I could work easily. So I started out with some collage, and I put some green pieces of paper out the bottom, and then I had cut out this bunny, which is out of another piece of gel printed paper. I freehand drew the bunny, cut it out before the show because I wasn't sure how much time. We live streamed for an hour and a half, and I wasn't sure if I would have enough time to draw and cut and also do the lettering. So if you don't know how to draw a bunny, or you don't think you know how, you can always trace. There's all kinds of, comic coloring books out there that have cute illustrations in them that you could trace. You can print something off the internet, or you can just look at a picture and draw it freehand, whatever you want to do. This is a fairly simple shape, and I just drew it with pencil and cut it out. I intentionally used a glue stick today on the collage because I would normally use matte medium, but I didn't want there to be a drying issue, and maybe there's goopy stuff on the page when I start to use pens because of the creative lettering theme that we're having all month long. I knew I was going to use pens, and I didn't want to gum them up. So I used a glue stick. I glued on both the back and the back of the piece I was gluing on and the page. And then I used a baby wipe to wipe it down to make it smooth. And I also used that baby wipe to remove any excess glue. And this is going to stick just fine for an art journal page. This isn't something that's going to have, it's going to be in a book. So it's not going to peel up or anything like that anytime. It's not going to have the damage that something that was intended to hang on the wall would have with light and heat and stuff like that. It'll just be in a book, so there's no reason not to do it with a glue stick. Then I started with the creative writing portion. This is a quote from The Velveteen Rabbit. It's a child's book that I loved as a child, and I also read to my children when they were younger. About what it means to be loved and what makes you real. And I thought this quote was really perfect for art. Everything is real. Everything that is real was once imagined. That's how art is. It is an expression of the artist's mind and what they see, which is completely unique to each individual artist, including yourself. what you see and how you see something is different from everyone else. So you imagine something and you can create it, and that's what this quote is really about. So that's what I wrote on there, and I started out with just a pencil and I wrote stick letters. And I did use the ruler to just make sure that I wasn't writing crooked. I just laid the ruler on there. I wasn't using it really to draw lines or anything, but just to as a visual point in which to keep me straight, because my intent my when I write or when I draw something like this writing, I will go upwards. It's just the way it is. If I don't have something to keep me straight, I will start down here and I'll start to write and it'll end up going up the hill. So I wanted to keep it fairly straight, but I am considering this lettering, this style of lettering, to be illustration and not writing. That might be my own personal hang up, but I cannot stand writing in my art journals. I hate my writing. I can't even read it. Like if I just write something, I have a hard time reading it later. I won't even know what it said because it's just my penmanship is not beautiful, you know. So this is more like drawing letters, and that's exactly what I did. So I drew it all with stick letters, and then for the larger words, I went around the outside of the stick and made them fatter. And I think at some point I do lift it up and try to show close up what I'm talking about. But then for the smaller words, I just filled them out. I made the lines thicker with my pen, and then the other ones I'm going to paint in. So I wanted them to be more open, and I just drew around the outside of the sticks, like a little bit a ways all the way around, and tried to make maybe some little flourish ends and stuff like that, just to make it more interesting. It is called creative writing, but I do notice that even though I do this and I've done it before on different pages, my writing still looks the same. Like even my creative lettering looks the same. So I need to branch out and make something different, make some fat letters or brushy letters. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is what it is. It is what it is. So I got out some acrylic paint in different spring colors. This is the first live stream that we've had in April, and that's the beginning of spring. So we wanted to do spring pages today, and you know, maybe whatever spring means to you. The bunnies are back in my backyard. We have bunnies that come into the yard. They live out in the wash, and then they come and they drink the water out of the pool. And if I plant anything that's, you know, seems young and fresh, they will come and eat it. So I have this like the bunnies I have attitude. I will go outside and they'll be sitting in the yard and they just look at me like they're not scared, you know? They give me these stink eye looks like, what are you doing in my yard? I mean, that's hilarious. I don't see them all winter, so they must hibernate, I guess. I don't know. But then when they come back in the spring to look for juicy sprigs of things to eat, they just, yeah, they have attitude. These bunnies have attitude. I think they're all teenagers, although at this point they must have gotten older. But so, of course, spring to me means one of the things about spring is the bunnies coming back. We haven't really had the ability to do a lot of weeding yet, and we are getting little sprigs of grass. I think I talked about this in a different video. My dog likes to eat the sprigs of grass, and they come up, you know, there's a little bit of rain and they come up and we just haven't had a chance to pull them. So maybe that's what the teenage bunnies are looking for. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're eating out there, but they certainly do not have any fear of me or the dog. They're not scared of the dog either. You know, she doesn't really chase them, but you'd think that they would be scared, but they're not. So this is one of the bratty bunnies that I have in my backyard, and of course I did draw it on a gel print, but then I went in and did color shading with the acrylic paints to refine and define everything about it. So I changed it. I mean, this is a mixed media. We've got collage, we've got writing, we've got pins, we got acrylic paint. We've got all kinds of different stuff. I think there'll be some stenciling, I'm not sure. But anyway, a lot of layers. And you can always spruce up your gel print. You don't have to leave it like it is. You can doodle on it, you can paint on it, you can draw on it. So this is a good way to use gel prints. Of course, this book is made out of gel prints, the whole book. So yeah, it works out pretty well that way. So I also wanted to colorize my letters that I made fatter. So I'm doing that with the acrylic paint as well. This is probably a 1/4 inch flat brush. So I press it down on one side, press it down on the other side so that it's like a long, thin, flat line. And then I use that line to paint with onto the letters. And I'm doing the bigger ones in 2 colors. So I did that purpley lavender at the top, and then I filled in the bottom with the pink. And then for the second one, I filled in with blue. And then this last one, I just painted the whole thing lavender. You know, I'm a purple person, so I like purple, and this lavendery color definitely seems like a spring color to me. A lot of flowers out now that are this color. They're tall, they're weeds, obviously, or wildflowers. Weeds or wildflowers, what do you call them? I mean, they're all over the place, but they're very tall, and they have conical blooms on the top that start with like one and then fill out towards the bottom, and they're this lavendery color. So it's a good color for spring. This looks kind of like Easter too. Easter must be coming up. Let me look at my calendar. Where is Easter? Must be here somewhere. Not sure what day it's on. It should say on here, Easter, the 17th this month. So today's the 7th, so in 10 days we'll have Easter, and this kind of could be an Easter page as well, but it's more just about spring. So I use some of the green, kind of an olive green, light olive green, I think it's called, paint to make some kind of grassy, flowery things at the bottom. And then I have a different pen. This one is a Pentel pocket brush. If you don't have one of these, I think you should. And I will leave a link below the video for the Pentel pocket brush. This one has a very flexible brush, and then it has cartridges that have India ink in them. The only thing I wish about this pen was that it came in more colors. It only comes in black, but India ink is permanent once it's dry. But before it's dry, you can blend it a little bit like I'm doing right here. But what I really like about this pen, if you're at all into illustration, you know that illustrations are more interesting if they have fat and thin lines, like if it's not just all one line. So when you're using like a pigment pen or something, the pen nib, whatever, is it 05, is it 03, is it bold, is it whatever, is always the same size when you're drawing. So then you draw it with one size, then you got to go back in and make thick and thinner lines with a different size. With this pen, I can vary the line width based on how hard I press, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, because it's like painting. It's like painting with a brush. It's a small round brush, and it flows really well with the India ink. I don't ever have to squeeze it or anything. Some of my other brush pens, I do have they have a squeeze valve, like the water ones and stuff, to get it going, but this one seems to not really have that issue. It seems to flow on its own. It's a great pen. It's just a great pen, and then it's permanent when it's dry. And it'll write over anything. It'll write over this paint and all these bumps and things without, splattering or anything. When I was going over everything with the fine Posca pen, this particular print has some crusty bits. It's kind of got some stuff on there that when I hit the scratchy, bumpy part, I sometimes get a little bit of splatter with a Posca pen. Of course, I'm a big fan of Posca pens, and they are acrylic ink in a pen, but because of the firmness of the nib, sometimes you will get a little bit of splatter if you run over something that's bumpy and scratchy, and it even makes this noise when you do it. And I was definitely having that with this particular page because that printing on there was raised and scratchy. I don't know why. It was probably it was probably dried on the plate, and I was pulling stuff off that was dried up and crusty already on the page, and that's what made, I mean, on the plate, and that's what made it like that. But it also makes for a really cool print. You know, I love crusty bits. Hashtag crusty bits is one of my one of my things. So I do really love the way that looks. So then I'm painting in some flowers and just trying to kind of finish up what I'm doing. I've got my lettering done. I've drawn around the edges of the lettering with thick and thin. I decide maybe a little bit of stenciling, and so I get out a key ring of ATC stencils. You know, over at Stencil Grow Products, they have these stencils. They come 9 to a page with different designs. And I've even designed one myself that has different types of cactuses and rocks and things on it. But this is one of those. I think it was actually designed by Mary Beth Shaw. And it has these little tulip printy looking things on one of them. So I used that with the blue. And then, of course, the squares in a grid. I use that with some of that light olive green just to make the background more interesting, to bring in more colors. It had colors in it already. It had the Naples yellow and white mix, plus some purple and some blue, maybe a little bit of pink. So it was already these colors, but I'm just bringing them in more. Then I have a fat Posca pen. This one is still a round tip, but it's a lot bigger and fatter, and I like to make dots with it. So I'm making some dots around my bunny just to make him more interesting, just for fun. And I come up with the idea that maybe he needs even some polka dots. Why couldn't a bunny have polka dots? Why not? I mean, the bunnies I see are usually light brown with a white tummy and a white tail and big ears. But because everything that is real was once imagined, I can make it any color I want, because that's what imagination is about. So I decided to put some dots on the bunny just to make him more interesting. Why not? And I'm using Naples yellow and white mixed together, adding that color here and there. I've got the pink ears. You know, I want all the colors to be around and represented, but I'm also using them as highlights and shadows. So instead of using brown or black or something to shade, I'm using the blue and the purple. And then the pink is kind of a medium tone, and then I've got the yellow and white to be more like highlights. So then I take the end of a brush and make some dots, some more dots in different colors going around my different bunny situations. Blue around the edge, pink in the middle, green around the pink, just to make it more fun. They're kind of like little wheels or something, I don't know. And it's just fun that way. Around the eyes, up across the ears. I think I do end up making some dots within the letters. With the Posca pen, I figured out that that big fat Posca pen makes really cool dots, and I only have white and black. So what I need is more colors of fat Posca pens. I always thought to myself, I don't need fat Posca pens. I'm not making posters. I mean, what do I need these for? Then I figured out they make dots, and now I'm obsessed with getting more colors. Because you know me, I want all the colors, right? I want all the colors, every single one. But I haven't went out and got them yet. So I hope that you have enjoyed this funny little bunny spring page with some creative writing. If you are doing creative lettering, make sure that you use the hashtag AJOS. That's Art Joy of Sharing, AJOS. Creative lettering. That's our theme for the month of April. We'll be doing stuff with writing in your art, or using letters or numbers as graphics, all that type of stuff in your art this month. Also, if you like this page, remember to give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment or question below, or both. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, you can join my channel membership. That is $1.99 a month, and you get exclusive real-time teaching content on the 15th, as well as a speed-up video that only the members can see. So you can do that if you want to. That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.